Wesley is the new NXT North American champion. Dominic Dijakovic to return to NXT. The fourth member of Schism to be revealed on this week's edition of NXT. And a title change takes place at this weekend's Impact Wrestling tapings. Hello, welcome to the Solo Sunday News here with myself, Andrew Pollard at What Culture Wrestling. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, turn the notification bells on, comment, all of that good generic stuff. I always have to get out first things first on a Sunday, but most importantly, as ever, I hope you are having the best possible day. Whatever you're doing, whether it's something, whether it's nothing, I hope it goes a really cool Sunday for you. And if it's not been so cool so far, I hope that turns around very, very swiftly for you. And somebody who is having a good Sunday is the new North American champion, and that is Wesley, the former MSK man. Won that title last night in the what was it, 5-way ladder match with Carmelo Hayes, with Ora Mensah, with Nathan Fraser, and with, of course, Von Wagner, Mr. Jack Swagger himself. I did a pod in the week, the NXT review of Sidgwick, and I got massive Jack Swagger vibes from Von Wagner for some reason. Anyway, he is the new NXT North American champion. Wesley is. This was a really, really, really cool ladder match. I enjoyed this a hell of a lot. Just a really fun, entertaining match. Just one of those, pop it on. I think it maybe went like 18, 19 minutes. Lots of cool spots. The final spot was Wesley hitting the double knees on Carmelo Hayes, which then gave him enough time to get up the ladder, get the title belt, and become the new North American champion. Now, this, of course, Wesley was originally due to have a shot at the NXT North American Championship held at that point by Carmelo Hayes. That was last month, but Carmelo, being a naughty, no good heel, him and Trick Williams took out Wesley backstage, which then allowed Solo Sikoa to be a surprise opponent for Hayes and win the title, which was then vacated because the match was never a sanctioned match, and hence we had this ladder match for the vacant prize. Elsewhere on NXT Halloween Havoc last night, it was a really fun show. I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy NXT TV this week, but Halloween Havoc was a fun show. But we had Apollo Crews defeating Grayson Waller in a casket match. Roxanne Perez defeated Cora Jade in a Weapons Wild match. Julius Creed defeated Damon Kemp in an ambulance match. Mandy Rose defeated Alba Fire to retain the NXT Women's Championship, and the NXT champion Bron Breakker successfully retained against JD McDonough and Ilya Dragunov. Surprisingly to me, pinning Ilya, which, see where that goes. I did half expect maybe a title. I half expected maybe one of those two titles, the women's title and the men's title, to change hands. But hey, here we go. It's all been retained. And somebody who thankfully is seemingly no longer retaining their T-Bar persona is Dominic Dijakovic. This is nice. It's almost cathartic of like, oh, this is cool. I feel so much better with this. Yeah, there was a vignette aired last night on Halloween Havoc where we saw a mask burning in a fire. The mask wasn't just any mask. It remarkably looked very similar to the T-Bar mask. And I think, like all of you, I'm hoping and praying this is the return of Dominic Dijakovic as Dominic Dijakovic in NXT. Now, we've seen since Triple H, since Paul Levesque took over the WWE ship, the creative of WWE, so many people have been either brought back or kind of recalibrated, I guess could be a term, like LA Knight, thankfully, is back to LA Knight. And so a lot of fans have been hopeful that Dijakovic, something would be done with him other than just being T-Bar on Main Event in that stupid mask and kind of clinging on to his Retribution days. And this seems to be the first steps to, yes, seeing something happening for the ridiculously talented dude. He's such a smooth mover for what? I think he's like 6'7", legit 6'7", Dijakovic. Just such a great talent to watch in the right circumstances with the right people. Obviously, you had those hoss fights with Keith Lee in NXT. This is someone, of course, who challenged for the NXT North American title several times, for the NXT title, the main title, several times, was in a War Games match, War Games 3, back in 2019. And it seemed for all the world that Dominic Dijakovic was set for big things on the WWE main roster. Unfortunately for him, when that call-up came, though, it was as part of Retribution. And wasn't that a faction that served everybody involved so well? Mercedes Martinez saw the writing on the wall and was like, I don't fancy doing this, thanks. And she's no longer with the company. Mia Yim is no longer with the company, although rumoured to return. Mace is now Mace, which is technically an upgrade, I'd say, on Retribution, which says it all. And you have, of course, Mustafa Ali, who Finally, again, they seem to be doing something with him. He seems geared up to have a program with Seth Rollins, which I'm here for. Those matches are going to bang hard. But yeah, Dijakovic is seemingly coming back and adding further fuel to that fire. Just after that vignette aired at Halloween Havoc, Dijakovic took to Twitter to put out, "If you kill him, you will win. Become vengeance, become wrath," which is a play on Seven, the film with Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman and Kevin Spacey from back in the day. Exceptional movie if you've not seen it. But yeah, there's a bit towards the end where it's like, if you kill him, he will win, with which is what Morgan Freeman's character says to Brad Pitt's character as he's I'm not going to go into that because hey, it's not a film podcast, it's a wrestling podcast. And on the wrestling front, again, on Halloween Havoc front, Schism are about to reveal their 4th member, brother. Now, this is going to happen on this coming Tuesday's edition of the weekly NXT TV. Joe Gacy last night, Joe Gacy, Rip Fowler, Jagger Reed. What are these names? What are these names? Obviously, I know where the Rip Fowler comes from because Zach Gibson is a massive Liverpool fan and he clearly chose the Fowler name himself. But those names are horrendous. Anyway, Schism, they had a promo backstage saying that their 4th member is going to be unmasked on Tuesday. And how did Joe Gacy put it? They're going to breathe the air on Tuesday night or something like that. I don't know. He talks in mumbo jumbo, as do I, quite a lot. But this 4th person, in case you've not been watching NXT for the last few weeks, there's been somebody running around in a mask, kind of doing things ish with Schism, especially in their rivalry with Cameron Grimes to the moon. And also this person in the mask has been giving out like smiley badges or buttons, if you will, out in the audience during NXT shows. And this person will be revealed on Tuesday. Now, there's no concrete details on who it's going to be. It looks like it could be a lady, a female. I mean, just in terms of fan speculation, some people have suggested Nikki Cross, which she's been teasing a rebrand or a repackaging or a new gimmick or a tweak for the last God knows how long. Nikki Cross is one name I've seen thrown out there. Isla Dawn is a name I've seen thrown out there from NXT UK. That could be a very good shout. Blair Davenport is another name I've seen somebody speculated about. And some are even speculating that Ava Raine could be this 4th member. Ava Raine, of course, being Simone Johnson, the daughter of a certain great one. So yeah, we'll see what the crack is with that on Tuesday. But I like the NXT, it's not always great. Like I said, this past Tuesday's episode I thought was not for me. But I like how they're dropping in things to try and entice you to come and watch their next program. And like, oh, if you tune in on this week, then we're going to be revealing this, and this. Or they're announcing things ahead of time to try and garner interest, which sounds so basic, but it's something that WWE has they've struggled to do over the last however long. But away from NXT, away from WWE, not even going to go into AEW this weekend. It's a very quiet AEW weekend for once. But I always love to give some love to Impact Wrestling. Now, this is a spoiler for an upcoming episode of Impact Wrestling TV, because there has been a title change this past weekend during tapings in Las Vegas. So tune out now if you don't want to know this. But I believe in Joe Hendry. And Joe Hendry is the new Impact Wrestling Digital Media Champion. And I am all here for this. Just such an entertaining, charismatic son of a gun is Joe Hendry. If you've never seen him before, do whatever you can to check him out. It's just so entertaining, constantly entertaining. And it's great to see him in Impact, in a major promotion, and now with a piece of gold around his waist. Now, he defeated Brian Myers this past weekend. Brian Myers, who it's not known when this is going to air. It's either going to be the 3rd of November, 10th of November, or 17th of November episode of Impact Wrestling. So it means Brian Myers will have had that title for at least 125 days. The longest reigning title holder with the Digital Media Championship is Matt Cardona with 127 days. There is a chance maybe that Brian Myers might beat that record by the time this airs on TV. But Joe Hendry is the new Impact Wrestling Digital Media Championship, and this is fun. It's his first piece, like I said, his first piece of gold in Impact. Returned to the company last month, had a brief spell there. I say brief spell, it was a good few months there in 2018. But yeah, just a really, really talented dude, Joe Hendry, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do with this title. Just go and check him out. I believe in Joe Hendry, and you should too. Now, some questions to get this wrapped up. I'm feeling very bunged up. I'm apologising if this sounds horrendous. I know it sounds horrendous a lot of the time anyway, but give some love on a Sunday. It's early. Mark's always got in touch. Hey, Mark, Modern Andrew, happy Sunday, and Apollo is ready for the Ravens game. Is MJF the modern-day Stone Cold? What's one feud you want to see him in a year from now? I want face MJF versus heel Wheeler Yuta. Hashtag this is the news. And there's Apollo with, I presume that is a Ravens hat. So go Ravens? I don't know. I have no preference for teams there, but there's a dog with a Ravens hat on, so I mean, automatically I'm going to be willing to cheer on the Ravens. But as for your question, is MJF the Monday Stone Cold? I don't think anyone's the Monday Stone Cold. I know there's been comparisons with Moxley. I know there's been comparisons with Kevin Owens, or even when he was Kevin Steen. Stone Cold. It's one of those where you will never get another Stone Cold Steve Austin. I'm not saying you won't get a star as big as Austin, which you might. It's a big ask, but there could be massive stars, and then they don't have to be a mirror of Stone Cold or have the characteristics of Stone Cold. But I think MJF could be. I mean, I guess the way I'm thinking of it, I'm looking at it, if you're going to make comparisons to Stone Cold, was Austin, just before, I guess, when he was on the cusp of turning babyface, it wasn't really a babyface turn. People were just cheering him because he was beating the piss out of everybody and flipping off people and drinking beer. And it's like, oh, this is cool. And he represented a change of attitude, no pun intended, to what wrestling was at that time. And I think MJF, he is still very much a heel, but he obviously gets massive cheers still, even no matter how hard he tries. And who knows whether he's on the cusp of a babyface turn. I think it is all just part of a cunning ruse, but we'll see. As for where do I want to see MJF in a year, who do I want to see him feuding with, I think babyface MJF versus heel Wheeler Yuta could be great. There's plenty of seeds there to work with. I think it's inevitable we get Wardlow and MJF. I think Wardlow, to me, I think MJF clearly is going to be the AEW World Champion sooner rather than later. And I think whenever he loses that title, I think it'll be the War Dog will be the one to do it. But looking across the lay of the land, you've got Darby Allin, who, again, so much history between those two. Sammy Guevara, if you want to play on the pillars. I don't think you can get Jungle Boy to that sort of level by this time next year. Not to say he's not a very talented dude. I just think the way he's been booked so far. If we're talking babyface MJF, maybe the cocksure I can beat you in a million ways, however I see fit. Heel Bryan Danielson is an option. Hey, maybe a heel Jon Moxley. Samoa Joe, history there, going back to, it was kind of referenced the extra work MJF did for WWE. And that was when Samoa Joe was the NXT champion. There's a famous video out there of Samoa Joe walking through the hallways to the ring, and he's got security guards around him. And one of them is MJF, and Samoa Joe just pushes him out of the way. Dante Martin comes to mind. Ricky Starks, man. Ricky Starks and MJF could make absolute gold in the ring, on the mic. Money. Take my money. I'm buying that on pay-per-view all day long. Mark Smith's got in touch. Find Dark Side of the Ring Season 3 in the UK on the All 4 app. What's the best non-in-ring wrestling program you recommend to watch? Have a good Soul Sunday, my Welsh brother. Thank you very much, Mark. Yes, thank you to everybody who pointed out to me that Season 3 of Dark Side of the Ring is on the All 4 app here in the UK. I was searching for Dark Side of the Ring through Sky, through All 4, and it only brings up Seasons 1 and 2. But if you actually open the All 4 app, there we go, Season 3. No illegal streaming for me. Not anymore, anyway. As for wrestling documentaries or non-in-ring wrestling programs, as you put it, Breaking Ground comes to mind. I've really enjoyed that on the WWE Network. That was a really cool series. I think it kind of goes under the radar a little bit. Also, I suppose in terms of non-in-ring, I really enjoyed for the most part the Tables for Three. I wasn't too keen on the latest one. I mean, it's got Bret Hart on it, so I'm always keen, but it just seemed weird to just revisit one specific rivalry of Bret Hart and Jerry Lawler and Kiss My Foot and Here's My Dentist, and just seemed a random one to delve into. But I really enjoyed the Steiners one. The Tale of Three with the Steiners, loved it. But other than that, I think that in terms of documentaries, I love a good wrestling documentary. You Cannot Kill David Arquette is phenomenal. I would, again, go out of your way to find that. Also, Nail in the Coffin, The Fall and Rise of Vampiro, which I realised, this is a peek behind the talking inside baseball, brothers and sisters, the little setup I've got here, my mic is actually on a big box that is a promotional box for Nail in the Coffin, the Fall and Rise of Vampiro, which it's great. I got to check it out for the channel, probably 2 years ago now. Just really fascinating. Even if you're not a fan of Vampiro, even if you're not a fan of wrestling, it's just a documentary about a man, his problems and his struggles to be a dad as well as do the thing that he loves. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Smack 'em Up is another one that comes to mind. I'm not sure where you'll find that now. It was on BBC. God, well, I was going to say a few years ago, but it must be a fair few years ago, because it was basically chronicled Fergal Devitt, Prince Devitt, as it was, his last run, his last UK tour, his last run in Japan prior to him signing with WWE. So that was a really cool one to watch. I don't know where you'd find that. And I'm hearing good things about the territories. I know that is from Vice, who put out Dark Side of the Ring. I've not had chances to watch any of the territories programs yet, but I've heard very good things about those. Right, I'll get through these last few questions quickly. Tuna Gaming, on Sunday, can we finally do a missing spurting report on Elektra Lopez, last seen getting into a car after NXT with 3 Spanish males and never seen again? Who knows? Clearly, they've dropped her from Legado del Fantasma. I think that was really harsh on it. Zelina Vega is great. Zelina Vega will be a great fit for Legado, but it just seemed like Elektra Lopez was doing really good work. I mean, in ring, yeah, there's still a lot of work to do there. But as for that manager presence, I thought Elektra did a great job in NXT with Legado. And so it really is like, what do you do? Like I said, as an in-ring talent, you're not going to have it, I don't think, as a full-time wrestler, because it's just the skills don't seem to be there just yet. Who knows? Maybe she'll get there. But then you're thinking, well, because she managed somebody else in NXT, maybe there's somebody on the main roster. Maybe she still ends up joining Legado and they have 2 voice pieces, which they don't really need, and that's a silly idea. So yeah, I have no idea to the gaming, but it's one to keep an eye on. Also want to keep an eye on, the Grant Perkins has got in touch. Hey Grant, question for your solo Sunday news this week. Was hashtag Brawl Out the first step that leads to a CM Punk WWE Hall of Fame induction? Also, because you enjoy animals pictures, here's a picture that WWE posted once for reasons, and it looks like Cesaro as a goat. I think it's Cesaro, but it could well be, Grant. It could well be that this whole all-out thing leads to some remarkable CM Punk return to WWE and an possibly inevitable, who knows, maybe not inevitable, but an introduction into the Hall of Fame as a headline act, which would just be nuts to think of. If you'd have said that, I don't know, 18 months ago, before he'd returned to wrestling, it would sound insane. If you said that 6 months ago when he was signed to AEW, that would sound insane. If you said this prior to the media scrum at All Out, it'd sound insane. Now, it sounds relatively feasible. I mean, those stories yesterday, I believe that the guys covered it on yesterday's video, that WWE does have interest in bringing CM Punk back, because it's a very different place right now. Paul Levesque is running the ship. I know him and Triple H, pronouns, brother. Him and CM Punk, Triple H and CM Punk haven't always exactly got on eye to eye, but the one thing with Paul Levesque is he's very much, seems to be anyway, not that I know the guy personally, but he seems to be very much open to, not a pun at all, but he seems very much open to basically doing what's best for business. We've seen it before where he's built bridges with Bruno Sammartino, he built bridges with the Ultimate Warrior, he built bridges with so many people to get them into the Hall of Fame. And I mean, it would, CM Punk back in WWE would be huge news. It would help ratings. Ratings doing okay at the moment, to be fair. It'd help ratings. It'd sell a stupid amount of merchandise. It'd make for great TV. There's so many potential rivalries there. And Paul Levesque, Triple H will see that and think, right, I might not get on with the guy totally, but I realise what he brings to the table, and I'm more than happy to pay him whatever he's asking for him to bring his skills to the table. So that's a long way around that, Grant. So cheers for that, brother. Hector Garcia, the third last question here, and then we'll be done. Happy Soul Sunday. Hey, Hector. Happy Sunday to you, my brother. Who delivers the best drop kick these days? Personally, I'm primarily limited to WWE and AEW, so I'll go with Dolph and AJ. From the past, I'd say Mr. Perfect and Jim Brunzell. Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig, had a hell of a drop kick. Right now, these days, Kazuchika Okada immediately comes to mind. Okada has got a beautiful drop kick. Billy Gunn, even now, Billy Gunn has one of the greatest drop kicks in the history of professional wrestling, and he still has that same great drop kick at what is he, 58, 59 now? Ridiculous. Ricky Starks has a sweet drop kick. Dolph Ziggler, like you mentioned, Dolph Ziggler, love him or hate him, he has a great drop kick. Randy Orton as well. Randy Orton has, again, one of the all-time great drop kicks. If looking back from the past, I think, like you said, Mr. Perfect and Jim Brunzell are 2 great shouts there. Perfect was just perfect. Hardcore Holly had a phenomenal. Speaking of phenomenal, like you mentioned, AJ Styles is a great dropkick. Hardcore Holly's like right there. If we're talking greatest ever dropkicks, Hardcore Holly is in. He's in that conversation. I'm not trying to say Bob Holly was the greatest wrestler of all time, or he should have been the main event attraction. I'm just saying the guy has a fantastic dropkick. Tito Santana always had a good dropkick as well. Brian Pillman Sr., Lance Storm had a great dropkick. And I don't know why. I may have imagined this. It might just me be talking out my backside. It's a Sunday morning and I need coffee. But I always seem to think that Ted DiBiase Jr. had a great dropkick. That's one I'll have to go back and check out because I've not watched a Ted Jr. match in a long, long time. But that has been the Solo Sunday News this week. I've been Andrew Pollard here at What Culture Wrestling. Be sure to come and give us a follow at What Culture WE on the Twitter. You can follow me if you want at Culture Left Peg on the Twitter. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, comment, turn notification bells on, all the generic stuff I always have to say every single Sunday. But most importantly, have the best possible day when you're doing something, whether you're nothing. I hope you have the best possible Sunday. I hope it goes well for you. I hope you have a great rest of the week. I believe Murray and Wilbur will be back tomorrow. As it stands, I think I may have a Sunday off next weekend, so you won't see me then, but plans can change, brother, should we say, so who knows. Anyway, have a great rest of your day, have a great rest of your week. I've been me, and I will catch you soon.